Wibta if I implemented the same rules regarding food that my mom enforced upon me when growing up. My mom is 40F and coming to see me, 19F, in 2 weeks for the first time since I started university. Just for some context, my family moved abroad a year ago and I haven't seen any of them since. The distance has given me time to reflect on some of my mother's strange, obsessive behaviors regarding food, and I've since realized that some of her actions were somewhat abusive. However, I use this term very lightly. To outline the situation, we were never allowed to take food from the kitchen without asking. If we were caught doing so, it was called stealing and we would be shouted at and or sometimes punished. It escalated at some point to locks being placed on the cupboards, a transparent meat lock being placed in the fridge and a camera being installed in the kitchen. She would monitor how many times a day I'd be in the kitchen. If I had been in the too many times, she would chastise me, saying that I'm obsessed with food, obsessed with always being in the kitchen, and that I have serious food issues. During secondary school, I was never sent to school with packed lunch, nor was any money put on my card so that I could buy food. At some point I started to cook the family dinners, and the leftovers would always be allocated to my stepdad, whilst the rest of us would go to school with nothing. We would sometimes get takeaways for dinner, but oftentimes my mom and stepdad got takeaway only for themselves, saying that we weren't allowed any. Now, the instance in which I could possibly be a jerk is that I plan to treat my mom as she treated me in regards to food when she visits. I told my boyfriend of my plan to enforce these rules, that there will be a curfew for the kitchen, that she is not allowed to take or eat food without permission, and if she does so I will call her a thief. I was also thinking of ordering food for myself and telling her that she's not allowed any. I honestly just want to show her how ridiculous she is about food, but at the same time I just want to be petty because why not? My boyfriend is telling me that I'd be immature for doing this, and that since my relationship with her is already difficult, I'd be better off taking the high road rather than adding fuel to the flames. My dad and sister also agree. Whilst I can't deny that doing this would be immature, I can't help but feel that she deserves a taste of her own medicine. So would I be a jerk? Edit, but I would like to clarify a couple of things. To all the people who've been calling it abusive, I'm unsure of how to feel about that. Like it did hit me at some point that this wasn't normal, but it's not as bad as I was making out. Like I feel like I need to clarify that the situation wasn't as severe as I made it seem. From around age 16 she was less strict, and the locks on cupboards were removed as well as the fridge safe. As I got more financially independent I was able to buy myself food whenever I wanted, even though this annoyed her sometimes. The only time I guess I was starved was at school during lunch. Otherwise I wouldn't call this being starved, I was just somewhat monitored around food. To all the people telling me to cut her off, I find it hard to completely resent her because she is my mother, and I recognize that she has done a lot for me. At the same time, that doesn't excuse her behavior. I've realized that she is a narcissistic parent, so I'm not expecting much or any accountability from her.